pleasure to be here. This is my second time working with SoulSearch, and I wanted to make sure to let you guys know that today is going to be, it's intended to be fun. We're going to make fun of something that tends to be kind of like a headache, self-care. It can be an afterthought. Sometimes we see it as a luxury because there's something that's more pressing, right? Like sometimes we rush to get that bill turned in and then sprain our ankle and then realize how slow we are for the next 6 months when it comes to getting other tasks done because we were not mindful in that one moment. And so that's the kind of stuff we want to combat today, okay? And really point out how self-care is a necessity, not a luxury. What do you think about that?
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, got a few responses. That's pretty good. Okay, so I am Dr. Dan. I'm a doctor of Chinese medicine. The degree is in acupuncture Chinese medicine. I tend to lean in on the manual Chinese medicine because I like to focus on everything but the needle. There's so many opportunities to be needled. How about everything else that comes with it? I also focus on medical cannabis. I'm a mentor and an instructor, and I've also started 2 businesses. One is for-profit, the other is nonprofit. And that's Organic and Chip Academy, and we'll go through it. And today, we're gonna walk you through the basics, the fundamentals of Chinese medicine. Since most of us think of acupuncture being the only thing that Chinese medicine has to offer, I'm here to let you know that there's more, okay? And so the first thing to look at are the 3 treasures of Chinese medicine, which is Jing, Qi, and Shen. That is your essence, the energy, and the spirit. This is a way to connect the material world to the immaterial world, and we are that bridge. Interesting, huh? You might have heard this before. Now, that same 3 treasures has a hierarchy, and when we are in the earth realm, it has the most tedious and the most labor-intensive medicine. You have to go to school for at least 4 to 8 years to become an acupuncturist, to become an herbalist, a chiropractor. That would fall into the category of massage. That could also be manual medicine. So anything that takes an expert and has some level of codependency is considered earth-based medicine. You need somebody to help you to get there. But once you're on your feet, we can step into the next realm, the human realm, which deals with Yangshen. Yangshen, huh? That's lifestyle. Okay, that's just what are you doing on the day-to-day? What's your daily ritual and your habits look like? And then once you got a grasp on that, well, what's its impact on the surrounding area? That's the feng shui. How am I about to move through my environment in the same way that I'm moving through my personal life? Then the last one, once you have a grasp of your environment, you got the bird's eye view, you can move on to the astrology. According to Chinese medicine, that means you can start looking at the bigger cosmic picture. Once you have those 3 treasures in your pocket, you can move into the ethereal, the non-physical. The reason that education is gold is because today, that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm bringing to you the gift of knowledge. And this is something that can either inspire you to explore, or it may even make you skeptical, and which is even better, because I would rather you say, nah, Dr. Dan, you're an idiot. And then research it and be like, wow, Dr. Dan, I learned something new. And that's great, because I vet all the facts that I'm going to give you, okay? I can give you sources for all this stuff. It may sound a little woo-woo, but that means you're in for a ride, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Don't all speak up at once, okay? So culture, like education, so now you get into the habit of each one reach one, each one teach one. Then that becomes the culture of your surrounding, and then the Tao means like the legacy that you bring, the legacy that you leave, and how people continue to move forward with the impact that you gave them. So that's the hierarchy of Chinese medicine. So the more impact you have on your community, the stronger the medicine, okay? So our next one, yin, yang, and qi. Now, yin and yang, like they are the parents of this thing called qi. And yin and yang were born from something called wu ji, which is like the empty void, the emptiness. And the best way to describe this qi is to think of it like a living electricity that learns from its experiences. And it is the glue that holds all the material world together. And it is part of that bridge between the material and the immaterial. So like an example of something that's not so woo-woo, it's like, I'm hungry, I want a sandwich. That was something that was born, that was immaterial, the need for a sandwich. And then you have to go and assemble all the bits and pieces in order to accommodate your taste and palate for that day. You may be like, today is going to be peanut butter, and it's going to be bananas and pickles with a side of orange slices. And you're like, okay, but that's what your mind wanted. That's what your body craved. And so you have the capacity to make something unique, okay? And so that's what it means by yin chi, gu chi, wei chi, your chi, my chi. It's all chi. It's all chi. All the things that we're doing, it's all an interplay between yin and yang. So when it boils down, when you're starting to feel a little down and out, you're like, I'm not sure what I need to do. Just remember, it's all chi. You got to start looking at the current and the flow of the energy. Go back to the yang shin. Go back to the feng shui. You feel me?
Yeah, we feel you.
All right, there we go. One person. Okay. So let's break down some of these principles of self-care. So I promise you, it will be interactive. Once I'm done yapping, then we'll get to doing stuff together, okay? So the principles of self-care. Let's talk about how spirit stirs emotions. And those emotions create feelings. And then those feelings can express as actions. So let's just take a look at emotions real quick, okay? So with emotions, when the spirit speaks, the body follows. What do I mean by that? According to Chinese medicine, the emotions that we experience are stored within our bodies. So that means that every one of our organs is able to like be a certain note, like a string on a guitar. And every time that resonance is moving through the environment, that string will vibrate. And so we have the capacity to tune our instruments to different keys. You follow me? Being able to change the tune that we hear that's going on. So that's what Chinese medicine is always encouraging us to do, is to elevate how we experience something that we have no control over. Emotions happen, and there's nothing about it that you can do. But what you can do is what you do with those emotions once they're in your system. And we break down how an emotion turns into a feeling. But before we do that, let's do a little exercise. Who here's heard of Tui Na? Tui Na. It is a medical style of massage from China that is kind of like an integrative style that uses a whole lot of modalities in order to affect results. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to introduce you to these 5 tools: Tui, Na, An, Mo, and Pai. And we're going to use points from our elbow down and our knee down. These are called elemental points, and that's what these 5 elements are all about. Okay, so the first one, Tui, is to brush. Let's just take a moment and we're going to brush down the inside of the arm, brush down the inside of the arm, then brush up the outside of the arm. And feel the quality. Now, you can use your fingertips, and that's skin level. Then you can use the pad of your hand. You may notice it has a little bit more grip. This is muscle level. And then you also have the heel of your hand. This is bone level. See if you can feel the difference as you brush down the outside, up the inside, and feel that Tui. Make sure to try it on both arms. Tui up, Tui down.
Can't get past the goosebumps because I'm so cold.
Yeah, so you notice how it's cold, so then we can also speed it up, right? So going up and down, speed it up. And you can try it fingertips. See, does the fingertips make a difference versus the pad versus the heel? Which one is more warming? Why don't y'all tell me? Why don't you try it out? Why don't you tell me what's more warming, your fingertips or the pad of your hand?
Probably the fingertips.
Okay, that's a hypothesis. We've got a hypothesis, folks. Is it the fingertips?
Yeah.
It's the fingertips for you. How about for you? Oh, the bridge of the hand is warmer. Okay, so you see, welcome to your bodies. Each person's experience is a little different. The next is Na, and we squeeze. Now, why are we working on our arms? How many of us type? How many of us text? How many of us drive? Any of these places, we're using this gripping strength, and we need some way. We can use that grip that goes around our phone and everything also to get rid of like the inside of the elbow. This is the carpal tunnel side, the inside of the elbow. This is what I call the carpal tunnel side. Get in there. You can squeeze, you can brush using the Tui. And then the outside, this is the tennis elbow side. Tennis elbow side, carpal tunnel side.
Which side is the pickleball?
The The pickleball would probably be the pickleball side would be the outside elbow. Okay, for those pickleball players out there, no grand champ in the back. We're gonna work out these areas. So now we have tway, we have pressing on. Na is squeezing, then on is pressing. Pressing. Now the pressing might be easier to do on your legs. So on your knee, pressing with two hands, pressing down, or interlacing your fingers and squeezing around the knee. Try that now, squeezing around the knee. You may notice if you have, aches and pains, or you notice that things are sore, this is where we can work our tway. We brush on our knee. Na, we squeeze our knee. On, we press on the knee. So we already have 3 tools, right? What is tway?
I know.
Don't all yell at once.
Brush.
Brushing, great. Tway was brushing. Na was being great. Good job, everyone. Grabbing.
But I would need that in English, though. And excuse me.
Well, you think you need it in English because you can be washing dishes and go la 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 la, and that can change your spirits. It doesn't have to be I feel so good right now. It doesn't have to be associated to
language.
No, I know that. And so if you remember the sound, tway, 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 tway.
And na is?
Nah, it's like grabbing, like nah, I ain't grabbing that, nah. Tway, brush, nah, grab. Tway, nah, on, press. More is rubbing. This time, now it's the vigorous, circular rubbing. More.
More of that.
Yeah, and you can even place one hand on top of the other and you can rub the belly. More.
Oh.
Upset stomach, we go up on the right side, down on the left side. This follows the digestive tract. Down on the left, up on the right. Here, if I turn around, it's like we're doing it together. So you can see up on the right, down on the left, okay? And that's a really good one. And you can make it smaller too. Make the circle just around your belly button and see what that feels like. And you may notice that the temperature changes does things to your body. Anybody felt a part of themselves where it's like hot and then all of a sudden cold? And you're like, why is this one little section of my arm really cold, but everything else warm? Well, in Chinese medicine, that's qi stagnation. And sometimes when we go through emotions that you find on this chart here, they can also stagnate the energy. And at the elbow to the fingertips, from the knee to the toes, these are considered our elemental points, and they're very potent and very effective in the clinic. I actually have a specialty where I can use points from the elbow down, knee down, and affect most any kind of physical pain using tway knot and acupressure. So what we're doing here is the gross, the moi, then pi. The last thing is just padding. Padding. Oops, I probably shouldn't have padded the microphone. Padding. Padding. And think about, when do we pat? Like, try patting on the side of the knees, like a pity pat. Go ahead and pity them knees. I pity the fool that don't self-care. Go ahead and try it out. Because the last thing, there's this expression my Sikh would say. He'd say, it's easier to train today than 10 years from now. Right?
Say that again.
It's easier to train today than 10 years from now. Right? No matter what it is that you're doing. And so just by taking these little steps, right? Just gentle patting, you may notice that might be relaxing. How many of you guys know of like tapping therapies in order to help like calm the emotional state of a person? Voila, pie, right? When you're sad, think pie, okay? And this is a pie that has no calories, okay? This is a 0-calorie, diet-friendly pie that anybody can have. As long as you're able to pat yourself, you got pie. What do you think about that? You like pie?
Sure.
Yeah, what's your favorite flavor?
I don't know.
Self-care flavored. Great. Good answer. Good answer.
So how do I get back to my back?
Well, that's another question. But since we've been doing all this talking, how many of y'all got a water bottle? This water bottle's famous. You recognize it? How many of you guys, by show of hands, how many here carry a water bottle? Anybody? Am I the only one? I got like 3 people, 5 people, 7 people. Do I have an 8? Do I have 8? Do I have an 8 person? Do I have an 8th person with a water bottle? No 8th person. All right, so that's our lucky number then. I highly recommend getting to know water. Okay, we're 60% water. Many of us think that we're healthy because we spend a lot of money on food. We're like, well, look, this is organic and this one is clean and I know the source. That's great. How much water have you drank? Oh, I drank water on Wednesday. It's Sunday, you know. It's people will sometimes neglect water as if it is just a burden, but we're 60% water. So if you were to make an investment, and if you were like, you know, I would say investing in water is a great way to take care of yourself on a whole another level, okay? So I take my water really serious. I went as far as getting certified from the Molecular Hydrogen Institute to learn about ionization of all different things. It turns out that ionized water releases hydrogen gas into the water, and hydrogen gas is very helpful for our healing and recovery. There's this Japanese scientist, he's an enterologist, so he studies the gut, and he wants to know, like, you know, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but the biggest brain in our body is in our gut. We have 3 brains in our body, one in our gut, one in our hearts, and one in our head. The one in our head is the one that you can remember things from the top of your head. You can learn a song by heart, and then you can follow a gut feeling. Which one of those 3 is most accurate?
Stomach.
The gut. Yeah, there's literal miles of intestine in here that all has to be innervated. And it has the same amount of nerve connections that are necessary in the brain to be like, you know, this is hot, this is cold, it's nighttime, it's daytime, the associations. The gut has that. So it's really incredible. And so water is the key to all of that. You got to nurture the plant that is you by staying hydrated. So in the clinic, we make sure everybody is drinking alkalized water, making sure that they are getting that necessary extra je ne sais quoi, aka hydrogen gas, that helps to get them over the hump. Because one of the hardships of natural medicine is creating a space for codependency. A person then come to you thinking, okay, they'll get rid of it and then they don't have to be accountable at home. That's dangerous because that's only 1 hour out of the week. And so to be able to get them on board, water is a nice bridge to go from into a healthier lifestyle. So that's like the emotions. You have to kind of humble yourself and look into this stuff and figure out, like, what is the best thing? Where am I at? If it were Uber, you got to let them know, where am I at, before they can pick you up and take you to your health destination. That's our emotions. I'm gonna get out of my emotions and get into my feelings, okay? Now, feelings are things that they are conscious. There are things that are created. And here's the king of feelings, right here. You guys recognize my favorite neighbor? Mr. Fred Rogers here. Like, this is lyrics to one of his songs, and these come from kids and the way that they express how they go through difficult emotions. And you know, what's funny is we all have an inner child. And part of having an inner child is it tends to sometimes want to have a tantrum. But funny enough, it's the oldest part of us. It's seen every new layer of us. And the part that we see today is the youngest version of ourselves. Interesting, right? Food for thought, okay? Thanks, Mr. Rogers. That's his advice, okay? But the mind does create feelings. You have emotions, you can't help them. It starts triggering in the brain, like, what's going on? And then associations occur. And then you're like, oh, the way that person used that tone was disrespectful, so now I am defensive. And, you know, but you can break that chain of thoughts, right? How? By understanding where stress comes from. Did you know that all stress is measured on the same scale? That allostatic load measures emotional, physical, psychological stress. And there are 2 types of stress: eustress and me stress. No, and distress, okay? So the eustress is like positive things, learning a language, you know, stretching, doing the self-care, like, oh my God, this hurts so bad, versus distress, like your foot is slammed in a door. I don't know why your foot slammed in the door, but that's why you're in this lunge position versus it being part of your self-care regimen, right? And a lot of the time, like in the example of closing a limb in a door, we don't take care of ourselves until we're injured. Would you agree or disagree?
Most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah. I know that for myself. I've been hit by 3 cars and I did not take my self-care seriously. I weighed 275 pounds by the time I was finished being crushed by these vehicles. And the doctors couldn't do anything for me for my pain. I ended up I kept ballooning. I ended up having appendicitis and having to have surgery. And my lifestyle became more and more sedentary. It got so bad that I was having early onset like arthritis at 16, 17. So I said, you know what, enough's enough. And that is when I started learning about what can I do, since the doctors didn't have options. They said it's outside of their care, outside of their scope. It's now on me. So I had to experience what they call outpatient survivorship. Okay, and a survivorship means like you had a team taking care of you and now it's all on you. And so I was like, you know what, never again. I don't want to have to do that, because I recognized that I was going through bad pain. And so it's good to be able to recognize when you are going through bad pain. Now, a very easy way to know if you're going through bad pain, if it's acute and sharp, typically means it's probably not good. Okay, so that's just kind of a rule when it comes to pain. And as you work through it, I tend to go for the 30% rule. And this is what I was taught, and it is very effective. Since I tended to go all out when I was younger, this taught me how to conserve most of my energy so that I can then become stronger. Now, what do I mean? The 30% rule is when you are training at 30%, 70% of your energy goes back into your energetic savings account. What I'm saying is, when we move and we exercise and we start to be active, you can either make it aerobic or anaerobic, similar to eustress and distress. Aerobic exercise is Richard Simmons, right? Come on, pump, pump, right? And then you get hot, and then you sweat, and then you're done. Richard Simmons is burning it and getting the oxygen out of your system so that your body can then try to recover from that, right? But guess what? It turns out that there are ways to work out where at the end of your workout, you have more oxygen inside of you than when you began. And that is the anaerobics. What do you think about that?
Sounds cool.
Where are we at with this material? Would you guys say that like thumbs up, it's cool, middle, like what are you talking about, down, like Dr. Dan? Excellent. I just want to make sure, like, if there's anything that pops out at you guys and you are curious to know more, you can, treat it like a little auction house, okay? I'm an open book to share with you different insights on what we do. I also give second opinion. So we do have people come in, serious illnesses. I look at their charts. I can then read their charts, because I don't know if you're aware of this, but a general MD is the same training that I have, plus the Chinese medical diagnosis. So that means that not only can I read Western labs and charts, but I also can understand Chinese medical differential diagnoses, Western pathological conditions, kinesiological chains that are disrupted, like the whole shebang. It's very underrated and underappreciated. So that's why I'm here, because it was a bad pain when people were like, no, Chinese medicine can't do that. But then I realized by becoming a resource for people, I can eliminate the bad pain and be a good pain for them. Okay, and really help contribute toward their energetic savings account. But in the end, sometimes things happen, and we need a natural way to combat pain. You guys know this guy? He's my other neighbor. He's not a very good neighbor. Okay, Mr. Rogers, he always keeps his lawn clean. This guy, Peter Griffin, he's a pain. He's a pain, and he's in pain. Okay, so the first natural remedy that I recommend when in pain is turmeric. Turmeric helps to increase circulation. It helps to improve the way your body begins to interact with inflammation specifically. There's curcumin and a ton of other things that this plant has to offer. Now, of course, in Chinese medicine, my job is also to educate you on potential side effects. So if you know somebody who is pregnant or somebody who is attempting to conceive, this is not a good herb for them. Okay, why? Because it's too stimulating in that case. But like if you have cold joint, achy joints, you can feel the weather changing. This is the one. My dad, he's in his mid-70s. He swears by these turmeric, the Ukon tablets. They have a bunch of different vitamins and minerals in there that help the body to absorb and retain the things that are necessary to trigger the regeneration process. Many people like to heal, but healing involves leaving a scar, whereas regenerating includes it coming back exactly as it was, if not stronger. So which one do you want? You want to heal or regenerate?
Regenerate.
Yeah, you want to regenerate. Yes. Okay. So that's turmeric. This is the highest grade out in Okinawa. And it's wild crafted. So that means that they found land that had turmeric and then they just nurtured the land and they only take what they need, which is pretty cool. I like that. It's a sustainable farming tactic. The other one that I like is CBD, cannabinoids. So I am a certified expert in cannabis in the healthcare department. So what that means is like I have to point out contraindications. So one of the things that is contraindicated is if somebody has like blood thinners. If somebody is on blood thinners, cannabis is not safe for them because CBDs and all these other ones, they can help the blood to coagulate, making it thicker. So that would be one of those times in which turmeric would be probably a safer bet than the cannabinoid. Cool? Excellent. So first, did you know that your body makes cannabis? They're called endocannabinoids. And we have a whole system and it controls our nervous system. Like it is the one that regulates all the other nervous system. It's the telephone operator that plugs things in. And it's also directly associated to like topical pain, CB1 and CB2 receptors. CB1 is on the inside of the body, CB2 is on the outside of the body. That's why cannabis topicals are effective, is because there's receptors there. Our body is literally made for cannabis. And not only that, we get sick when we don't have it. They are now starting to draw conclusions around things like fibromyalgia and its association to endocannabinoid deficiency. This is something that's been coming up. They call it ECS deficiency. And we will eventually, in the next 5 to 10 years, you will start to see commercials. I predict commercials to show up talking about endocannabinoid health. Because with the endocannabinoid, the way you supplement it is with some outdocannabinoids, okay? And so the outdo is also called phytocannabinoids, okay? And these here are 5 major cannabinoids that you find in most plants that have some major medicinal benefit. So your tetrahydrocannabinol, THC, that's the one that creates euphoria. That's the one that's regulated. It's the one that's most recognized and is what the dispensaries sell. The female plant will make abundance of THC, okay? It's the psychoactive part of the plant. But then you have CBC, cannabichromene, which deals with the mood. It triggers something called adenamine in the midbrain. Adenamine is the precursor to endopioids, AKA endorphins. So you know how they say like laughter and being able to enjoy it releases endorphins? Well, so does CBC. So for a person who may not have the company to sit back and laugh with, they can at least have a molecule that will take the edge off of the stress and the ease in a way that regulates their mood without it being psychoactive. The next one is CBG, cannabigerol. This is 3 times stronger than CBD for pain. It's a neuroprotectant and it's antibacterial, antifungal. So like, you know, people who have surgeries and things of that nature, like oral surgeries in particular, CBG will protect the stitches. And I've seen it kill bacteria in the mouth. It's really quite fascinating. CBD, that's another famous one, right? Cannabidiol, and that's the calm. CBD, cannabidiol. And CBD is synergistic. It is non-psychoactive in its isolate form, but when they have something called full spectrum CBD, that means that they just took the plant and put it through a juicer, and that juicer allowed for a little bit of everything, including the THC. A little bit of all of this is in there, and that's why the traces of the THC are what give that feeling of like, oh, the CBD got me high. No, it was unregulated THC within the mix.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a trip, right?
That's deep.
And then the last one, CBN, cannabinol. Cannabinol is when THC matures and then expires. It will transform into CBN. That's the couch lock. That's the sleep element to like indica cannabis. Now, these are all hemp-based things, and this is the company who I partnered with, Rare Cannabinoid, because it's all hemp-based, and they're the only company that has made isolates for people to use on a day-to-day basis. So like here is like a topical gel that dries clear, no residue. And the topical gel has been effective in the clinic because sometimes after working on a patient, if I'm putting it on multiple people, might have like slippery hands or be washing off something, but it absorbs immediately and it's non-psychoactive. So it's like a double treatment. As I treat them, I am being treated. The black lid is the THC infused gummy. So like this mood gummy is one of my favorites. Like I swear by it because sometimes when you're feeling anxious and you can't quite get a grasp on the feeling, adenine triggers, then it makes it where you're like, okay, I now have a direction. I can at least sit still. The last one is THCV, which I didn't talk about. THCV is the weight loss molecule, the attention molecule. It's really hard to come by, especially in high doses. Like this one is 12.5 milligrams of THCV. And if you go to a dispensary, and there's a company, Wild, that is known, they're famous for their unique cannabinoid variety. Theirs are 2.5 milligrams. 2.5 milligrams.
Why is THCV so hard to get?
It's because it's like gold. Like there's only so many strains that are producing it in abundance, and it takes a lot of plant matter to gather it up. So with hemp grows so quickly, it's easier to extract THCV, but THCV is expensive. No matter where you go, it will always be expensive because of how challenging it is to separate out. It comes from the vegetative state of the plant. So if you're not familiar, there's two phases to a growing cannabis plant. There's the veg and then the flower. And during the flowering stages, when all of it goes through maturity, and that's when it gets its funk and it starts to get a beard and starts to like talk back and stuff like that. Okay. So that's like how the plant kind of moves in life. And so I highly recommend, if you want to know more, come down to the booth. We have also flyers up here to explain some of this. So we just talked about our feelings, different things that help give us a feeling or regulate our feelings. And the last one is action. So if feelings express actions, what could that look like? Well, for me, it meant meeting my acupuncture hero. So I got to meet a guy by the name of Dr. Mutulu Shakur. This is Tupac Shakur's stepdad. And so this man was able to bridge the Crips and Bloods in the 90s during a time in which there was major upheaval in Los Angeles. He did it all from prison. He's been in prison. He was incarcerated from 1986 to 2023. And I happened to catch a picture with him 3 months out of prison at a movie viewing about the work that he did called Dope is Death. And at that time, it took me 13 years to find him. 13 years to find him. And then it took my own volition to change my flight from Atlanta to Los Angeles so that I could meet him. And then 90 days after I met him, he died. And he was only released from prison because he had stage 4 bone cancer. This poem up here is written by one of his colleagues, Dr. Tolbert Small. He is one of the acupuncturists who were one of the first people to get an acupuncture license before it even existed. They had to go up to Canada to get proper training and bring it down here. It was a political tool. This was a way to combat opium addiction and methadone addiction. And so Dr. Mutulu Shakur showed me that you can use medicine in a revolutionary way. And by revolutionary, I mean like bringing people with you, not leaving it only to the haves and showing the have-nots how to take care of themselves. And so it's been a motivation. And so he has a beautiful legacy. And so that motivated me to have my own legacy. And so I started Organic Wellness. And I was thinking, like, how can I start to give back to my community in a way that is beneficial? And so Chi-Up Academy became that thing. And you'll notice it's chiup.org and organicwellness.com. This is our for-profit private clinic. And Chi-Up Academy offers all kinds of cool free things for the community as a gift to another story that I'll tell you in a bit. So what does that even mean? What does organic mean? Organic is all about health literacy and cultural preservation. So you talk about taking action. This is all about taking action. This logo that it came up, I drew it on a whiteboard and then I pulled it into Illustrator and I cut it up and it became a doodle and then became a logo. And it felt good that I was able to do that because it represented to me the story of John Henry. If you're unfamiliar with John Henry, he was an American legend with like Paul Bunyan and Johnny Appleseed. John Henry was the man who beat the steam engine in laying railroad. And he broke through the side of a mountain to prove the point that human ingenuity would always outweigh technology. though he did have to martyr himself at the end. He ended up dying of fatigue from working so hard. So this is kind of an ode to John Henry and showing that human ingenuity in the field of health, we do have a way to cut through the impossible, or can, taking the time to learn about self-care, change the scope of your healthcare, right? So the other part was chi up. Where did that come from? Well, this is my friend Steve Gaines, okay? And every time we go out to train, the thing he says is, hey man, I'm about to go chi up and then I'm gonna come holla at you. Go, okay, all right. And so that meant like to lively up, as Bob Marley used to say, lively up yourself. So that's what he meant by it, to chi up. And so Steve wasn't able to join us here, so we put this little video together, okay? So I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you so
With
much.
that one, okay. I know where you're going with this, because how is your qigong practice helping you? That's an amazing question. Qigong is something I practice along with my meditation to help me stay grounded, peaceful, and aware of myself. Qigong for me is like a feeling. It helps me to be in tune with myself. It helps me help my mom. To have more patience with my kids, helps me to be more creative, helps me to breathe more easily, not performing. So it's an all-around effect. Now, I tell you, man, my brother here, or Daniel, we're going to get on here. Daniel and I are going to sit down and figure out a little bit of more like creative content around Qigong to help getting in touch with our breath, meditation, these things. I mean, it's cool to talk about it, but it's much better than practice.
People are also grieving the death of a Bay Area rapper as police try to determine what led up to his death. Bay Area rapper Stephen Gaines died after a physical altercation at Alta Summit Medical Center in Berkeley. Now, friends say he was at the hospital because he had asthma and was recovering from COVID. Gaines was 49 years old, a member of the group Zion I. He is being described by those who knew him as an incredible human being and a great father to his 3 sons. Berkeley police are investigating what exactly led up to his death there at the hospital.
I was in Berkeley. Yeah.
So when Steve died, I had to take a year off from teaching, from doing anything. I was very upset because it turned out that he didn't die of COVID, he didn't die of asthma. Berkeley police deemed his death a murder, and he was killed by private security at Alta Bates. And that same security guard got relocated and put into a new site. 3 days later, he had a new site, and he was continuing work as usual. And a whole community had lost a pillar. And so he was my confidant. This was my Kung Fu brother of 10 years. And like he said in the video, him and I had been working together to put together content. And I was so mad. I'm a martial artist. I have almost 20 years experience doing martial arts. I'm a certified instructor. I wanted to do something. I wanted to go ahead and test out the tensile strength of all the different techniques that I've learned. I was so upset, but he's a pacifist. And so that would have only disappointed him. So I was kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. And so the best thing to do when you're unsure is to stay still. That's what I taught. That's what I've been taught. You stay still when you're unsure what next to do, so that you can observe and then make a clear direction on what to do. And so I figured out what to do. And I went ahead and started this initiative called the Free Chi Initiative. And I was not only able to provide free body work to people who wouldn't normally afford that body work by taking on National Holistic Institute interns, I then also opened up the floor and said, you know what, it's time to start training again and bring that life that Zumbi was asking for us to do back together. We're bringing it back to life. Ironically, that was the last song that he dropped. It was called Back to Life. And then he died like a month later. So we do this every week. Tai Chi Qigong twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're giving out free massages. Wudong West is our fiscal sponsor. They are 501c3 nonprofit Taoist wellness ministry. So a lot of these principle-based movements and principle-based practices came from the etiquette that I had learned for the 10 years that I've been with Wudong West. And East Bay Church of Religious Science in Oakland is our other partner where they donate the space that you see in these videos in order for us to provide these services to not only to the East Bay community, but to the Organic Wellness community. So we've now been able to bridge and create an ecosystem, and we run off of donations. It's either bootstrapped or donations. And so we really don't ask much of folks. You know, we would much rather have, we would like to give corporations the opportunity to invest in things that benefit the community. And so that's why we create these opportunities here. Now, as you start to take these actions, because there's some kind of catalyst that gets you moving, you got to remember that it will produce results. And as those results come around, that will define your reality. And how you view it is how you will do it. Okay, can you repeat that? How I do it.
How I do it.
Is how I view it.
Is how I view it.
How I view it.
How I view it.
Is how I do it.
Is how I do it.
Just like how you decided to call and response with me. That was a choice. You took actions, and the action was a result. The result is you guys unified. We were just one group thinking about this one thing that if I can think it, I can do it, right? And the other thing that you got to consider is that self-care takes time. It really takes time. And you got to be kind to yourself. You got to remember that if you can smile, you can heal. You can laugh as you bump and bruise and heal and recover, okay? And of course, working in a community makes all the difference, because there you can feel and see the difference with natural medicine when you have community. So with that, thank you for your time. We have about 10 minutes left for questions or anything that you guys may have burning desire. We have QR codes if you guys want to learn more about Chi Up Academy and what's going on there, learn about Organic Wellness and see what we do there. But I am an open book. What can I do for you?
You're doing great.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's good
Which
feedback.
one was your donation one?
Yeah. Let's pull that up for you. There you go. Yeah. So, how many of you guys have experience with Qigong? Do we have any people with experience with Qigong? 1, 2. Anyone else? 3. Tai Chi? Tai Chi? No? Great. So, talk to me in an open discussion. Your experience with Qigong. Why'd you get involved?
During shelter in place, I was getting very fidgety, and I had started yoga, but I needed something like a change up, and I heard about Qigong, so I just kept going through YouTube, found a couple of people that I followed, and then I found a person that I really locked in with them, and I've been pretty much following Qigong on YouTube since 2021.
Nice. Okay. So following on YouTube during the pandemic, and was it beneficial?
100% beneficial.
You like how you saw the look on their face was like, they reduced my question to the ridiculous. Like, of course it was. Like, what are you talking about? That was wonderful. And then what was your experience?
I went camping with 2 Qigong teachers, and I work out pretty strenuously every day, and I decided to not and just do their Qigong every morning, and it was amazing, and I was able to I went off Suboxone during that time and effortlessly,
Wow.
and I felt really, really great. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Who here has no experience with Qigong? 0. Excellent. Stand up. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. That's right. Get on up. Get on up.
Oh, yeah.
Get on up.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, exactly. I'm going to teach you something that's called Jam Jong. It's a standing meditation, and it's the foundation of all martial arts. Now, it's one of those things where you're moving so fast, you look like you're moving still, like you're staying still. Okay, you ready for it? This is the very first thing you do. You start with your feet together. Right hand goes in a fist. Left hand is flat, and this is our sign of respect. We put our knuckles over our hand. We're saying, I ain't gonna punch you. We cool. We friends, and we make eye contact. This is what we do. So go ahead. Look at the people around you. Acknowledge that there are people in the room. Real good. Excellent. Excellent. Happy. Then we bring our hands to our sides. We're going to soften our knees. We step out with our left foot, just shoulders width, like you're standing in line at the bank. Then we take our hands and as if we are embracing that little kid who just came and hugged us and we're holding the back of their head, just level with our belly button, palms facing each other. And if you can, have a tennis ball under each arm.
Mhm.
Yeah, there you go. Good. This is our lower dantian, and we have our palms facing each other. Then, as we breathe deeply in and out through our nose, you're in front of the camera, my friend.
Mhm.
On your next inhale, bring your hands level with your heart. And see if you can hold this for a count of 3 to 5 breaths. And then level with the eyes.
Oh.
The way I think of it is like I got this
Yeah.
big sandwich and
Yeah.
I'm feeding it to my forehead. Can you see the sandwich?
Mhm.
You see the sandwich? You're not even looking at it.
Mm.
Good. Level with the heart. To the dantian. Then we're gonna make 3 big circles and you're gonna repeat after me since I know all y'all can speak now. Okay, here we go. Inhale, gratitude for my health.
Gratitude for my health.
Gratitude for my practice.
Gratitude for my practice.
Gratitude for our community.
Gratitude for our community.
Bring the left foot to the right foot, right hand in a fist, left hand flat, and we show respect to our team. And typically I go, thank you for coming out to another Thursday night Qigong. And I appreciate you guys coming out and supporting. This is Dr. Dan with Organic Wellness. You've just
Dr.
experienced
Dan.
self-care with Dan.
You tell me the difference between what's going on between 3 and 6 and 6:30 and 7:30, please?
Yeah, that's because animations hadn't kicked off. So 3 to 6, we have free massage with our interns. And this is in Oakland, 41st and Telegraph. And then at 6:30, we do 1 hour of movement in Qigong. And both of them are free. They're donation based. So sometimes people have a really good experience and they go, man, I feel like I'm stealing from you here. And we're like, oh, no obligation, thank you. Because we don't want people to feel discouraged because they can't contribute. We'll take fruit, cut it up and distribute it.
But they didn't do it the entrance way.
Huh?
The entrance way is different.
Yeah. This is Telegraph Avenue right here. And so we got a street, we're right across from the Temescal Brewing Company. So yeah, we're like right in the mix. Church's Chicken's right there. Yeah. Okay. Good to go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.